Bufords, that's what we're going to tie today, and we're not going to tie massive ones, we're going to tie ones that I tend to fish with on my 9 weight. So usually this is the size that I tie, it's about 7 or 8 inches in various colours. I was going to tie an orange, yellow and white one, but I tie a lot of that colour and that would be boring, so I thought I'd tie the cotton candy colour up. And if you've never fished a Buford, I would recommend that you do, and that you tie one up. They don't take long, probably about 15-20 minutes max. They don't need to be super tidy. Tie them scruffy, tie them how you want really. I tie mine fairly sparse. I don't feel that it needs loads and loads of materials in it to get the best out of the fly. But that's just my opinion. You do whatever you want. Anyway, let's go and tie this fly up. In the vise we've got an Ahrex predator stinger 6.0. And for thread we're going to use GSP 100. So let's put some thread down quick. GSP 150 is fine as well, and to be honest it doesn't really matter as long as it's a strong thread, as we're using bucktail with this fly. So put some wraps down all the way in line with the point. Put some glue down. I'm using liquid fusion, you can use Zappa Gap. Now to create the tail we need to put some bucktail, tie some bucktail in. So we're going to use, doesn't have to be too long. So take a smallish amount, take the underfibers out, about that much. Now this is a relatively quick fly, it doesn't need to be super tidy, so we're just going to tie that in at the end there, and just use your thumb to push that bucktail around the hook shank and pull tight, and then come over the top to tie those butts down. So a little bit like that. So next we need to put some either some Schlappen or some strung saddle feather in white. For the tail we need to form the tail now. So this is a fairly longish piece. I'm going to tie into the fluffy stuff here because I want to lengthen it. So tie on one side. And when you're tying into the thicker part of the stem, it tends to behave itself and not roll around the hook. I tie on the other side. And cut off those butts. Looks a bit untidy, but it will soon tidy that up. There we go. And for the next bit of feather, we're going to use some grey strung saddle feather, so a little bit thinner this time. So this is off a cape that I got a few years ago, and I've been using this quite a lot, and it's still going now, so it's worth the investment. So I want these slightly longer, and over the white, it's just add a bit of colour contrast and a little bit more movement to the tail. And we'll do the same on the other side. They don't have to be the exact same length. Tie that down, take those butts out. A little bit like that. And we want to put some flash in there. This time I'm using Hedron Flashabou Magnum Flash. And this is moonlight colour, so you get 3 colours in this. You get a pearl, a silver and a black. I like this one. So I'm taking 2 black, probably about 4 silver, and a bit of the pearl as well, if I can get hold of it. It's in there somewhere, come on. There we go. About that much. cut it in half. You don't need the whole length, and taper the ends. Looks pretty good. I'm just going to whack that on to about the same length. I've got a short piece in there, pull that through. Get hold of it. Quite a slippery one. Yeah, about there would do. No exact science to this, just whack it on. Now you can come underneath that flash, or you can go over the top. I'm going to go over the top. It's up to you. The beauty of this fly is you can do whatever you want with it, really. Like that. Add a bit of glue down. And come and tidy up a little bit around here. And we need to come forward anyway, because we need to do the next bucktail. Next bucktail's going to be white again. I'm getting a bit low on white. I'm getting a bit low on lots of bucktail actually. Lots of different colours. Down to my last grey. Take those under fibres out. Take those super long ones out as well, we don't need those. You'll find that bucktail comes in two lengths. So I just need to align up a little bit. Now we probably want that to come to about here. So we've got the right length. It's quite a short piece, this one, which is fine. We're just going to reverse tie this. So we're going to come over the top 3 times. Just push that around to make sure we've got coverage all the way around the hook shank. Hold the butts, pull tight. A few wraps round and use your push tool to push that back. Just check you've got even coverage all the way around, not too much on one side. Stroke that back, hold back, come over the top twice, pull down. There we go. And what I do, if I want to change the angle of the bucktail, I just tie a few wraps over the top, like you would do with a hollow tie. There we go, like that. And then come forward in front of the little butt there. Now we want to add some more contrast to this, so we can use a grizzly saddle tail in natural. Add that over the top. Again, similar lengths, long, short, that's up to you. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. But we're just trying to add some movement to the tail. So these feathers move lovely in the water when the bulk, the head pushes, as the water comes over, it pushes those feathers around in a nice way in the water. Cut those tags off, come forward, add some more flash, a mixture of the black, pearl and silver. If I can get them. Don't know, 6, 7, 8 strands is enough. Again, we're going to cut this in half. Taper the ends. Just a little bit, not too much, doesn't matter. Tie down top. Use your thumb to spread that flash around, tie over the top. Come forward. Add some glue. You'll find the flash is quite slippery, so you need to add glue at this stage. So that's the tail down. So now we need to move on to some different colours. We're tying a cotton candy colour, so we're going to be using pink and blue. So blue on the top, pink underneath. So we're going to take some pink first. Don't need a load of this, probably about a quarter of a pencil width. Take the end of fibres out. Line those tips up a little bit. So lengthwise, about the same as the white. Let's take a little bit off the end there. And we're going to reverse tie again. I'm just going to lay that on top. A few wraps round, turn that back over, take the blue. I'm going to take a little bit more blue. That's going to be a bit more of the, we want the blue to show through a bit more. Take those butts out. We want to come to about there. Line those, cut those butts to make it easier to tie in. 3 wraps, pull, hold those butts, tie down. Don't worry about cleaning those butts up. You don't need to do it. It's not going to make any difference. It's actually going to help this bucktail flare anyway. So we don't want to take those butts away, otherwise the bucktail will collapse. So that's pretty even. Use your push tool to just get everything in line. Looks good. 2 wraps over the top, come down tight. You can see how much that flares. Look, that's over 45 degrees. So you don't need to hollow tie these. Come down, tie in front. You want to take some grey. We're getting very low on grey. We'll see if we've got enough. I'm having to take it near the tip, but it's quite got a lot of air in this one, so we want be a bit more generous around the head. I don't tie these too full, so probably about that much. Take the under fibres out. And we want that come to about here, so I'm going to take a little bit off. Okay, we're going to tie 2 wraps over the top, 2 or 3, and then we're just going to get that bucktail distributed evenly. Not easy. That looks about right. Hold those butts down, come down really tight. Like so. That looks pretty good. Push that bucktail back. We need to leave enough room for the actual bulkhead part. So I'm just conscious about how much space I've got. I don't like to leave too much. Pull down really tight without breaking your thread. There we go, it's perfect. Come down. Put a few wraps around the head. Like so. So we've got a nice angle there now. Add a little bit of glue. Make sure everything stays in place. You can use Gap. Like I said earlier, I'm using liquid fusion. Gives me a bit more time for things to soak in. Now the next element is we need to build the bulkhead. Not the bulkhead, the bulkhead's in the brain. The Buford, which is kind of similar to a bulkhead. So I'm getting very low on grey. Well, you don't have to use grey, you can use olive or whatever you want. So I'm taking a good selection there. I'm just going to line them up to about here because I want tips to come and just level with the other tips. But I'm conscious about how much flare I want, so I'm just going to cut in to this to shorten it a little bit. I find if I cut in, it just tends to blend better. There's no sharp edges. I'm going to tie down. Just spin your thread to make sure it's not flat. 3 or 4 over the top, and manipulate that bucktail all the way around to make sure you've got coverage all the way around, and then just chuck it, look at it at the front. That looks good. Hold the butts, otherwise they'll spin, and then pull tight. Come down. And tease that bucktail back, and then just build a little dam in front of it just to keep it back, like so. That looks good, that's perfect. Right, next we need some more grey, but you can, you know, if you want, you can experiment, blend a bucktail together to get different colours. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really matter, but it depends how you want the fly to look. I mean, I like a little bit of grey in this one. So what I'm doing, I'm taking bucktail from the base for this last piece because that's got most air in it, and I'm just measuring up. So approximately I want to cut it around about here, like so. I like to put a few little other sort of diagonal cuts in there to taper a little bit. Same on this side. Probably doesn't matter too much. I might have to give it a little trim at the end anyway, just to see where things have lined up. So what we're going to do, treat this like deer hair. We're going to spin this. So I'm going to go 1, let's just catch that note. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Well, first time. So we're going to come into that a few times. Just wiggle your thread through it to get it nice and locked down. Then come in front of the eye. So it's like building a muddler, just a very large one. That looks pretty good. Whip finish. Catch a few, just pull them out. We're going to see if we need to trim it. We might not need to trim it. Do as many whip finishes as you want. So really, that's the finished fly. So all we need to do now is just, it depends how big you want the head. I try to cut to the size I think is right, but I think that is slightly a little bit too large. So I'm just going to come in a little bit and just level things off. Like so. So don't mess about too long with it. It doesn't have to be exact or pretty. And that is it. So that is a Buford. So it's not a massive Buford. I've tied these smaller. I've tied these on shanks at the back to make them longer and bigger, sort of 10, 11 inches. But the size I fish the most are this size, probably about 7, 8 inches long on a single hook. And they fish really, really, really well. They've got erratic movement in the water, so they'll go from side to side or up and down. I fish them on a sinking line to get them under the water, and the reason we're using the heavier PR 320 is because it's got a lot of weight in that hook and it gets the fly down quicker. There we go. Hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a like, let us know what you think, and I'll talk to you again. See you later.